It's photo shoot day. It is June 1st. It is 6:30 in the morning. I slept in a little bit longer than I usually do, about an hour, just to try to get some more rest, reduce cortisol, reduce stress. I'm having a cup of all black coffee. I'm probably gonna have 2 of these. Go on a walk while I talk to one of my coaches. Then I'm gonna get into meal 1, which is gonna be a high fat, high sodium meal, which I will show you soon and explain why. But today it is the photo shoot day, and I actually weighed in at my lowest weigh-in. It was 163.9, which is cool because yesterday we were recording a podcast and I said that I had a feeling I was gonna weigh in at 164 today, even though I weighed in at 166 last weigh-in. But I knew I was having a big refeed day with all the carbs coming in the day before the shoot. I just had a really big feeling I was gonna have a whoosh effect. My weight was gonna drop. Lo and behold, it happened. Coaching, experience, you start to learn things about your body. But I'm gonna get into the day, start with some reading, some journaling, some work. I'm going to walk. Then I'm gonna take you guys through my meals, and then we'll be at the gym and we're gonna go through the photo shoot. It is 9:40 a.m. I've had my 1 meal for the day. So far, it was 4 whole eggs over about 150 grams of rice with a lot of salt. And I put a little bit of ketchup on there because I can't just eat plain eggs. And a little bit of artificial sweetener, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of that. It's not gonna do anything, especially because I'm not getting on a bodybuilding stage. I am doing a photo shoot. But nonetheless, what the point of this meal was to give me a little bit of carbohydrates and a lot of fat and some salt. I'm still getting a little bit of protein, but as we know, protein is one of the hardest macronutrients to digest and break down, which is why it's so beneficial during fat loss. One of the reasons why, obviously there's numerous amounts of reasons why protein is so beneficial during fat loss phase. But one of the big things is that it is so filling and it is so satiating because the thermic effect of food and the process of breaking down, digesting, absorbing protein is more difficult. So the thermic effect is higher, meaning we burn more calories digesting it, right? And it's not something to hang your hat on because it's not gonna make or break fat loss through that calorie expenditure, but it does go to show that it is more difficult to break down. So when we are trying to peak for a photo shoot or anything, I actually like to reduce protein a little bit because it is difficult to break down and we don't wanna get bloated. So this morning meal was 4 whole eggs, so a lot of fat, cooked in a little bit of olive oil just to make the pan actually cook the eggs properly, and then a little bit of white rice. 150 grams is a little bit less than a cup, so not a ton. Then a lot of salt, right? So the salt is going to help with the pump, the vascularity. It's gonna help with glucose uptake into the muscle cell, much like mixing glucose and fructose together, 2 different carb sources together. Caffeine is another one, which is why I've been drinking a little bit of black coffee and just kind of sipping on water as needed. I drank a lot of water yesterday, over probably almost like 2 gallons, which is just my normal amount. And that's including all fluids, not just water, because yes, all fluid is considered part of your fluid intake. So a little bit of caffeine through coffee, which is gonna help bowel movements, as well as a little bit of water just to stay functioning because my shoot's not till 1 p.m. today. And then that high fat, lowish carb, high sodium meal. Now, most people would be confused because yesterday was a high carb day, which was really cool because I loaded up on carbs. I actually weighed in at 163.9 today. So it was a new low after 400 grams carbs, which is over twice as many carbs as I was eating. But the carbs, after being so lean and depleting myself, I'm very insulin sensitive and the carbs are gonna go right into the muscle. It's like the cheesy analogy of a sponge, but literally my muscles are like a sponge and they're soaking up those carbohydrates and the water and sodium, filling me out. So by the end of the night, I had more veins in my quads and my abs than I've ever seen before, which was really cool. And now that we've loaded up the carbs, now is to just make sure those kind of stay put, which is why we're increasing fats and we're keeping carbs moderate. So I'm still gonna have carbs in every meal, but I'm gonna focus more so on fat and a little bit of protein. And the reason for that is your muscles have intramuscular triglycerides. And what that means is that there is fat that stores in the muscle, a very, very small amount. Normally we don't need to do anything for this to happen, but when you're dieting and depleting yourself, it does lower. It's a old school bodybuilding strategy to fat load going into a show. I don't think you should take this too far, but increasing fats a little bit on the day of can help tap out those intramuscular triglyceride stores, which are the fat stores in the muscle, as well as keep you satiated throughout the day and slow the digestion down of the carbs that you are consuming so that the carbs and the salt can kind of slowly fill you out throughout the day, since I'm gonna be in front of the camera for hours, right? And with a bodybuilding show, even more so because you have multiple stage appearances. You have the morning show, pre-judging, then you have the night show where they do the finals and everything. So you need to stay full throughout the day. So my meals throughout the day, I'm gonna wait probably another hour, and then I'm gonna have 2 meals before the shoot. It's gonna be 2 rice cakes. These are caramel. They're actually really fucking good. So I'm gonna have 2 rice cakes, which is gonna be 22 grams of carbs, so not anything crazy. About 20 grams of almond butter. So this almond butter is 17 grams of fat for 32. So 20 grams of this is gonna be a little bit over 10 to 15 grams of fat. And then the exciting part, pressure cooked chicken. This could have been grilled too. There's nothing special. You don't need to steam or boil your chicken or anything like that. I was prepping my chicken for the week, and so I do it in an Instapot. So I cooked everything, and then I pulled out the chicken I needed for today, and then I did the rest as I will use the rest of the week with the peppers and the sugar-free barbecue sauce, stuff like that. But today it's gonna be literally about 20 grams. So this is 3 ounces, so I'm literally just getting about 20 grams. And all we want there is just to hit the leucine threshold, right? So the leucine threshold is an amino acid that spikes muscle protein synthesis, and it's going to give us the effect of muscle recovery, fullness, growth, all the things that we want. But we don't wanna have too much to maximize protein in that meal and maximize the MPS signal, because that requires an amount of protein that might cause some bloat and digestive stress, which is gonna be about 30 to 40 grams for me. So 20 grams of protein from this, about 10 to 15 grams of fat from almond butter, and then 2 rice cakes. That will be my meals leading up to the shoot. Then I'm gonna eat a Snickers bar. Yes, a Snickers bar, 30 minutes away from the shoot. Again, to load the fats, the sugar, the salt, the nuts, all those kind of things, a little bit of protein in there. That's gonna help me get a nice pump. And then I'm gonna sip on carbohydrates throughout the shoot, and we'll be shooting for a few hours. So those are my meals for the day. I'm not tracking macros with any of it. I have a prep coach. Shout out to Jackson Pios. We'll link his YouTube channel in the description of this podcast as well. So we're just going straight off of what the man says to eat. Again, I kind of explained the reasoning behind it all, which is the beauty of being a coach. As a coach, working with a coach, you kind of know what's going on. For the rest of the day, I have hours to go. I'm not drinking a ton of water. I'm not eating a ton of food. So I'm literally just gonna stay put, go on a couple walks, get some work done, and then we will catch you at the shoot, where we are gonna give you some behind the scenes of what we are doing behind the scenes with the shoot, as well as me getting to mouth-watering situation with the Snickers bar. It sounds crazy, but I'm very excited for that. I haven't had a Snickers bar in a long time. I'm gonna eat the Snickers bar, then I'm gonna take you through the shoot. You guys are gonna see what I do in the photo shoot, and then at the end of the photo shoot, I am going to go over some very specific insights, tips, strategies on how to get photo shoot lean. The biggest takeaways, top 5 things that you can take away from this entire journey so that you can get photo shoot lean. And I'm gonna explain how I'm gonna go about my cheat meal, because I don't like cheat meals. I think cheating on your diet is bullshit. So I'm gonna show you how I'm going about that this time, which is gonna be a free meal, and how you should be going about your free meals on a regular basis to not butcher your progress. And then I'm going to explain exactly what my plan is with the reverse diet, which I will also be trying to document a little bit so you guys can learn from that. So until the photo shoot, I'll catch you guys soon. All right, guys, so we are in the photo shoot now. I have my buddy Pal here. Pal shot me in 2019 for the last photo shoot. Not sure if we're gonna be able to see this. If not, we'll pull it up on camera. But I was about 10 pounds lighter here. So this is about 2.5, 3 years ago. So I put on a lot of size. So we're gonna mock the exact same photo shoot. It's just gonna be a good physique transformation that way. Had my meals for the day, been sipping on water. I'm drinking about 1 liter of water with salt and highly branched cyclic dextrin. So I'm just sipping on carbs. And I just smashed a Snickers bar, which was amazing. It's been years. Been doing some pump up work. We're gonna keep doing that. Then we're gonna hit the poses, do the mock of this. And then we're gonna continue shooting new shots for the tailored trainer, get some portrait stuff for the business, and just have fun with it. So let's get into the shoot. All right, guys, so that wraps up the photo shoot. We got a ton of content. I'm gonna just continue demolishing these caramel rice cakes because they're actually really good. Finally have a rock star because I've been dying to have one. And as promised, the 5 main takeaways of this entire photo shoot cut. I've dropped just over, actually as of this morning, 11 pounds of what I believe was pure fat. Try to throw up some content soon with the actual photography of the shoot so you guys can see how lean I got and how I was able to maintain muscle. And there's some specific things that I did during this cut, more so than other cuts, and that I've implemented with clients that I think you can take away from it, regardless if you're doing a fat loss phase for a photo shoot or just because you want to get leaner. Principle number 1, there's nothing wrong with dieting aggressively in the beginning. There's a lot of research that suggests slow and steady is a better route. And in many cases it is, because it's easy to adhere to and you're less likely to lose muscle. But there's also some new research that shows if people do a fast, aggressive cut in the beginning, intrinsic motivation to continue might be greater. So your motivation to stay consistent lasts longer, but also they regain that lean muscle tissue that they lost loss long term. So when they take two groups and they go very slow or they go fast out the gates and then slow down later on, the net benefit of going fast actually showed more fat loss in some scenarios and the same amount of muscle tissue loss, because once we get out of the deficit, we replenish that tissue anyway. So if you would do better with faster results because they motivate you more and you can just get after it, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you know how to pull back after the fact and go slow and steady to sustain it later on. Principle number 2 is to have a specific goal. I think one of the really helpful things for me going through this fat loss phase is pretty simple. I had a very specific goal. I had a timeline. I had a specific target I was hitting or trying to meet as far as my last photo shoot and beating that physique. And when you have a very specific goal, you know exactly where you're going. It's like a GPS. If you don't know the exact address you are traveling to, you will get lost. And it's important to have that specific goal so that you can continue moving in the right direction every single day until you reach it. Number 3, when it comes to training, focus more on effort than volume or intensity. Volume and intensity are the things people talk about constantly. Are you doing enough in the gym, or are you lifting heavy enough in the gym? And those are great, but the truth is your proximity to failure actually generates most of your results. And the most important thing about maintaining strength and muscle during a fat loss phase is that effort. You can go pretty low with volume and you can even drop the load quite a bit to avoid injury and still maintain strength and muscle. But if your effort in the gym is not there, you will lose muscle and you will not get the most out of your fat loss phase. So focus most on effort and don't worry so much about volume or intensity in the gym. Number 4, low fat, high carb diet. This is not as popular in most of the media. It's more popular in the bodybuilding space, but there's a reason. If we look at bodybuilders, they are almost always following a high protein, high carb, low fat diet. If the people who get absolutely shredded and are mastering the art of losing fat are doing that, let's take a hint from them. And the big thing is that when we have more carbs, it allows us to stay full, keep fiber, most micronutrients higher, and most importantly, it's going to allow us to train harder and recover better, because that's what carbs do. There are primary fuel source and they're protein sparing. So when it comes to losing fat and maintaining muscle, a high carb diet almost always outperforms a low carb diet. Just make sure that you can adhere to it and you have some flexibility built in. Number 5, last but not least, meal plans actually do work. When flexible dieting and If It Fits Your Macros came out, a lot of people shit on them. And the truth is they work really well as long as you have flexibility. In fact, there is research, and we've done YouTube videos on this, comparing If It Fits Your Macros or flexible dieting versus meal plans. And there's really no difference in the fat loss result, even after the fact. People maintain the result afterwards anyway, even if they were following a strict meal plan. But the reality is it limits fluctuations, it makes you more consistent, and it gives you a plan that you don't have to think about. So less you have to think and you just have to pull the trigger and take action, the better your results will be. So what I would recommend is consider a meal plan on days that you don't need flexibility and understand where your daily macros and calories are at, so that on those days you can take away from the meal plan, step away from the meal plan, and have flexibility to be more social. That's really what is going to build the best success short-term and long-term. It's combining meal plans and flexible dieting together. All right, guys, that is a wrap. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed this journey to the photo shoot with me. As always, make sure you like the video, comment below if you have any questions whatsoever, and hit subscribe so you can get notified every time we drop a new video. I'll catch you guys next time.